Ndlea to stop all this unacceptable nonsense of drug abuse, drug trafficking in Nigeria. Nigeria is the only country we have. We cannot fold our arms. We can, will, and must eliminate the drug scourge.
The alarming rate of drug prevalence among close to 15 million Nigerians prior to the assumption of office of the current chairman chief executive of the Ndlea, Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa, had made his job clearly well cut out. Thus, his decision to reinvigorate the activities of the agency to ensure a massive reduction in the drug prevalence in the country. The massive seizure and multiple arrests, as well as the increased interest in the activities of the agency by different stakeholders, are clear testimonies that the strategies adopted so far by the helmsman are working. One of the key approaches deployed by the agency under the current leadership is the advocacy component of the war against drug abuse. These components, in the last 17 months, had not only secured the buy-in of critical stakeholders, but had equally taken the issue to the front burner, with more and more Nigerians becoming aware of the danger this monster poses to all Nigerians. The Directorate of Media and Advocacy, which is at the forefront of the robust media and advocacy work being deployed by the Ndlea, is our focus on this episode of the program, Ndlea Today. Good to have you join us. Welcome. Also on our lineup this week, the news highlights, executive summary, do you know, and the feedback segments. They all promise to be quite interesting. On Risking It All, we'll be doing something different today as we share the real life experience of an individual who had lost almost everything to addiction. These and more coming your way on this program. So stay, don't go away.
On the news highlights for this week's episode of Ndlea Today. UK promises £1 million support to Ndlea as Marwa seeks more help. Drug war. Senior advocate rally support for Ndlea, commends Marwa. And Ndlea intercepts meth consignment, arrests wanted notorious drug dealer in Adamawa.
FCT Monarch backs drug test for intending couples, honors Marwa.
The United Kingdom has said it will provide £1 million worth of support to enhance the operations of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Ndlea, in 2022, and an additional provision over a period of 3 years. The pledge was made by Nick Fowler, the Director, Home Office International Operations, when he led a team comprising Julie Hartfree, Africa Regional Director, and Chris Hawksfield, West Africa's Regional Manager, both of the Home Office International Operations, on a courtesy visit to the Chairman, Chief Executive of the Ndlea, Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa, retired. In his welcome remarks, Marwa expressed appreciation to the visiting UK team and the British government for the past support to the agency. He further stated that with the expansion of operations, command structure, and staff strength of the Ndlea, he would need more support and collaboration from the UK project. In his response, Nick Fowler commended the NDLEA bus for the huge success that the agency has become under his leadership. He said the NDLEA has been able to play a significant role by intercepting loads of illicit drugs going to the UK. He assured that his office is now well positioned to share intelligence with the NDLEA. Legal luminary and senior advocate of Nigeria, Yusuf Ali, has expressed his preparedness to mobilize his professional friends in support of the essential work being done by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, in the interest of the socio-economic development of the country. The legal icon, who made the commitment during a courtesy visit to the Chairman Chief Executive of the agency, Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa, said his decision to support the NDLEA was born out of his appreciation for the good works Marwa is leading his officers and men to do for the country, as well as his conviction that overcoming Nigeria's drug scourge is key to solving the security challenges facing the nation. He further commended the NDLEA bus for recalibrating the agency and making it an effective frontline agency. In his response, Marwa thanked the legal luminary for his visit and restated the willingness of the agency to collaborate with the SAN, especially in the prosecution of some high-profile cases in court. He seized the opportunity to decorate Yusuf Ali as War Against Drug Abuse WADA Special Ambassador. Attempts by drug traffickers to export parcels of methamphetamine, popularly called Nkurumiri, locally concealed in conflict packs and body cream containers to Malaysia and Australia, have been foiled by operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, at Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Ikeja, and a courier company in Lagos. As a result, two freight agents, Neji Anoma and Eto Barnabas, involved in the bid to export 9 parcels of meth weighing 1.45 kilograms hidden in packs of conflicts to Malaysia through the narco export shed of the MMIA on Wednesday, 15 June 2022, have been arrested. Another consignment of 10 cartons of tramadol, 225 milligrams, packaged as Tramakin, containing 500,000 tablets with a total weight of 470 kilograms and an estimated street value of 200 million naira, have been seized during a joint examination with the customs at the NCS warehouse. The consignment, which had arrived Sako import shed since 6 June from India via Ethiopian Airlines, was eventually transferred to the NDLEA by customs on Wednesday, 15th June.
First-class monarch, the honor of Abaji and Chairman Federal Capital Territory FCT Council of Chiefs, Abuja, Alhaji Adamu Baba Yunisa, has directed the immediate implementation of drug integrity test policy that would ensure intending couples present certificate of fitness before being joined in holy matrimony. The royal father gave the directive to the chief imam of Abaji and his council of chiefs when the chairman chief executive of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency NDLEA, Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa, retired, paid him a War Against Drug Abuse WADA advocacy visit. Marwa had in his remarks congratulated the monarch on his 25th anniversary on the throne and upholding the tradition and culture of his kingdom. He commended the royal father for his unflinching support for NDLEA and the fight against drug abuse and illicit drug trafficking in the country.
I would like to appeal to His Royal Highness, who already has been in the forefront of tackling drug abuse. Because since I went into the office, he has been to my office a few times and Each time he raises the worry on drug abuse and gives advice and suggestions on the step that he is taking. We want to urge him to continue and intensify these efforts.
The issue of drugs is all our business. It's not only part to carry it. The more you know, the less you see. You don't get much. You always contented. You go back, call your children, tell them that this is what is going on. Because we can't relate it henceforth.
As a mark of honor and to further encourage the NDLEA boss, the monarch conferred on him the chieftaincy title of Santuraki of Abaji Kingdom. He promised to promote the drug integrity test advocacy of the agency, in addition to other ongoing drug supply reduction and drug demand reduction efforts.
Chairman Chief Executive of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa, has commended the Inspector General of Police, IGP Usman Alkali Baba, for his willingness to strengthen the working relationship between the Anti-Narcotic Agency and the police. Marwa gave the commendation while decorating one of the newly promoted police officers attached to his office, Assistant Superintendent of Police, Monday, with his new rank as ASP2. He said the recent promotion of over 21,039 junior cadre policemen show the commitment of the IGP Baba to boost the morale of the force rank and file, as well as enhancing the performance of the police. Marwa further stated that the IGP is not only working relentlessly to make the police better, he had also been supportive of our work in NDLEA. It's on record that he recently signed a clear letter to all police commands and formation to support and cooperate with the NDLEA. Yes, it's true. Drugs are a vice in our society, costing lives and huge economic losses. But the story is not the same because the game has changed. It's a red card for drugs in Nigeria. There is a new sheriff in town. Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa is moving hard and fast with full speed and precision to rid the country of the drug scourge. NDLEA Today is a program that gives you a front seat in understanding the highs and lows, the laws of drug enforcement in the country. Join us
every Monday from 5:30 to 6 p.m. on the network service of the NTA, Africa's largest TV network.
NDLEA Today. Don't miss it. The decision to create a full-fledged directorate to manage the media and advocacy component of the activities of the NDLEA was born out of the need to bring the drug issue to the front burner in the country. The directorate, which oversees all the media plan of the agency, had succeeded in creating the needed awareness among Nigerians about the dangers of drug abuse and trafficking. Femi Babafemi, the director in charge of media and advocacy for the agency, believes that the chairman's leading role in the advocacy campaign has been largely responsible for the successes recorded so far.
The chairman of the agency is the one leading this advocacy. You would have seen over time going from one state to the other to meet with the governors to tell them about drug prevalence in their states, and also let them know what they need to do to support or join hands to synergize with the Ndlea so that we can together fight the menace of drug abuse in the country. Then two, beyond going to the governors, he also leads officials of the agency and other stakeholders to meet with religious leaders, faith-based organizations, community-based organizations, to also get their buy-in and also their support, let them know what they can also do in their own little corners to support the war against drug abuse. Beyond that, we also go to the communities where we meet with villagers.
The encouraging feedback and the various collaborative efforts by critical stakeholders attest to the effectiveness of the efforts so far.
And the feedback we are getting shows that people are now getting more and more aware about the problems of illicit drugs. We're getting more people coming to seek partnership with the agency, coming to collaborate with the agency, coming to want to support what the agency is doing, and we can see quite a number of community-based organizations and non-governmental organizations, whether at the local, national or international levels, trying also to do their own bit to support what the agency is doing. So we're very happy about that.
For the director, keeping the larger population safe from the harmful effects of drug-related problems is the main thrust of the advocacy plan, since getting out of addiction is not a stroll in the park.
It's something very expensive. It's something that that anybody will not want his or her loved one to experience. So we do tell people, because if in a situation, if you have to be in a standard rehab center, get treatment in a month, averagely in Abuja here, you pay cost as much as 1 million naira.
The drug war should not be seen as that of the Ndlea or the government alone.
On Risking It All this week, we bring you a real-life experience of an individual. This experience can give you insight into how damaging any form of addiction can be. Ndlea Yonda, a journalist par excellence, can say it well without any fear of contradiction that with addiction you stand the risk of losing everything.
I know people who have lost virtually everything they had to addiction. They've lost jobs, they've lost family, they've lost everything. You see people who were the best in what they do. You see addiction reduce them to nothing.
Having traveled that road before with the attendant consequences of knowing how difficult and expensive it is to get out of addiction, he advised people not to experiment with any substance since they won't know when they cross the thin line between experimentation and addiction.
Anything that is mind and mood altering, you can become addicted to it. Most times, like I said, you just start out by experimenting, and before you know it, you become addicted. The sad part is that most addicts don't know at what point they cross from experimenting to, how will I say now, to become dependent on their drug of choice. Because an addict, to a large extent, is actually dependent on what he's addicted to. That is why, in spite of all the damage, whatever damage that addiction does to an addict, because it's now dependent, the system has become dependent on that substance, it is difficult for the person to quit. Most of the times, addicts can't quit on their own.
Like we say on this segment, every week, you risk losing everything through addiction. Don't get yourself addicted to any substance so that you don't regret it at the end.
Do you know that any person who is not lawfully authorized to import, manufacture, produce, process, plant, or grow the drugs popularly known as cocaine, LSD, heroin, or any other similar drugs shall be guilty of an offense and liable to conviction, to be sentenced to imprisonment for life? Do you know that anyone without lawful authority to export, transport, or otherwise traffic drugs popularly known as cocaine, LSD, heroin, or any other similar drugs shall be guilty of an offense, liable to conviction, and be sentenced to imprisonment for life? Do you know that any person without lawful authority to sell, buy, expose, or offer for sale or otherwise deal in or with the drugs popularly known as cocaine, LSD, heroin, or any other similar drugs shall be guilty of an offense and liable to conviction and sentenced to life imprisonment? Do you know that any person who is not lawfully authorized but knowingly possesses or uses the drugs popularly known as cocaine, LSD, heroin, or other similar drugs by smoking, inhaling, or injecting the said drugs shall be guilty of an offense for conviction to be imprisoned for a term not less than 15 years but not exceeding 25 years.
Sheun Olabiyi from Ondo State asks, are there effective treatments for addiction? Here is the answer. Drug addiction can be effectively treated with behavioral therapies, and for addiction to some drugs such as heroin, nicotine, or alcohol with medications, treatment will vary for each person depending on the type of drugs being used. Damini Goodluck from Yenagoa, Bayelsa State asks, what is withdrawal and how long does it last? Here is your answer. Withdrawal describes the various symptoms that occur after a person abruptly reduces or stops long-term use of a drug. Length of withdrawal and symptoms vary with the type of drug. Ahmed Bulus from Jos, Plateau State asks, can you get addicted even though you only do it once in a while? Here is your answer. Absolutely. It is easy for occasional use to change to frequent use or constant use at the end. That is addiction. The only thing we know for sure is that if you don't do drugs, you definitely won't become addicted. So don't do drugs. Do keep your questions and comments coming. The channel remains Ndlea Today at ndlea.gov.ng or ndleatoday@gmail.com. And that's it on the program for this week. See you again, same time next week for a fresh episode of the program. Don't do drugs. Don't let it do you. Bye for now.